Good day, everybody. Welcome to another Chew and Chat. Ron's already digging in. I am Justine Dorn, and I am Justine Brayfield, and this is Ronald Brayfield. I'm still getting used to my last name. Got married about a month and a half ago.
Don't worry, I'm not offended by it.
Thank you. Now, what do you guys think about our wedding documentary on Believe Plus? Tell us in the comments below. I'm very interested in what you thought about it. But for now, we have an 1820s rainy day supper. We have peas, raspberry tart, sausage, and potatoes. My kind of food. The potatoes are from American Domestic Cookery, the 1823 edition. This book was published in New York. The boiled peas are from a recipe also published in American Domestic Cookery. And the raspberry tart is from Modern Domestic Cookery, which has a very similar name to American Domestic Cookery. But Modern Domestic Cookery was published a few years later in 1828, also in New York.
Speaking of sounding similar, I swear all of them cookbooks ripped off each other.
Oh, they did. Actually, they really did. You'll find the exact same receipts in 5 different cookbooks from the time period because plagiarism was a serious deal.
Even the titles, though.
Even the titles, yes.
They're so similar that
they are.
The last 2 you read off, I thought they were the same, and I had to think about it. You're like, a modern domestic cookery, American domestic cookery.
Right. So we've already dug into this, but we can say grace.
Yes, now that you guys have joined us.
Now that you guys have joined us.
I will lead us today.
Thank you.
Dear Lord, thank you for the rain that you've sent us, because we were in a little bit of a drought and it was too much heat. I really appreciate this cooler weather. We really appreciate everybody who has stuck by us for the last few years and continue this journey with us. We hope that everybody is safe, healthy, and having the best time of their life. And thank you for this food. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. We've already dug into it. I mean, what can I say? Potatoes, peas, sausage. It's good. It's good. Yeah. Good food. Now, the one thing we haven't dug into yet is this.
Oh, yeah, the raspberry tart.
Now, tell them, Ron, why haven't we cut into that yet? There's a reason.
How about I show you?
You see that? It looks like the ocean waves.
And it was getting brown on top, so we couldn't cook it any longer. I think the berries just had so much liquid in them. But I tell you what the problem is. It's the same applies today. Just because they write a receipt doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah.
So the person back then said to cover it with a lid. That's why she had that piece of crust on there for half of the time that it cooks, and then remove it. So all the moisture in those raspberries, because they're so juicy, it stayed in there. It didn't, evaporate.
Oh, that's true. It's a good point.
Now you might say, well, Ron, you put a cover over a pie and it stands on its own, but you also add flour for thickening. This didn't call for that. So all the moisture stayed in there. There was no thickener.
There was no thickener.
Until we added the liquid thickener,
There's
the cream.
2 egg yolks.
Yes.
2 egg yolks, which apparently wasn't enough to do its work. So I haven't cut into this yet. But, I mean, just look at it. It's sloshing around. There's no way it's going to hold up its shape.
Now, I think it's going to taste good.
Me too. I think it's going to taste
It's
really
just going to
good.
be a mess when you... We're just going to have to scoop it with a spoon.
Yeah. Now, like Ron said, not every single recipe or receipt, as they used to call it in the early 1800s, was good.
We've had our fair share of bad ones.
We have had our fair share of bad ones where you just look at it and you say, why? Why did he do that?
What are they thinking?
What were they thinking?
But then again, there's some that are just amazing.
Some are amazing. I mean, it's the same as today.
A hit and miss.
There's hundreds, thousands of cookbooks out there. You really think every single recipe and every single cookbook is a hit? It's not. And it was the same 200 years ago, too. So, when I first made it with just the fruit and the sugar, I just wanted to eat it. I mean, it looked and smelled amazing. I was licking my fingers. Then it told me to add cream and 2 egg yolks, and I thought, okay, it's gonna be like a custard tart. I can live with it, but I'll admit, even when I was adding it, I did think in the back of my mind, how is this gonna stand up? Like, how is this gonna firm up? I mean, 2 egg yolks, if I added more than that, for this quantity of raspberries, it would taste eggy.
It'd be like a raspberry quiche.
Yeah, it would be gross, so I can't add any more eggs. It would ruin it. It really needs flour added to it or something. Nowadays, we would add cornstarch or flour.
Yes.
But first, how would you rate this? I was just say rate the whole meal instead of every individual thing, because how can you rate potatoes?
Well, everything's cooked great, so I'll rate it as a whole. It's raining outside, it's cool. This ain't sweat, this is water. I've been out on the trail all morning.
It's raining.
This is a fantastic lunch for a rainy day.
It is.
It's comfort food. You know, comfort food ain't always a soup or a stew. Sometimes it's individual pieces. And, you know, you would put this together with some broth to make a stew, but this is a deconstructed stew, if you will.
Deconstructed stew. Very interesting review.
Yes, thank you. I give it a 10 out of 10.
You all out there, would you try this meal? Let us know.
I would hope so. Speaking of y'all out there, somebody sent us a really awesome, what should I call this?
I don't know the name for something like this.
What, like a terrarium?
Yeah, a human terrarium. I know there's a word for this, but I just don't know what it is.
Somebody modeled the cabin here from a chew and chat point of view. You see us sitting behind the table, you got Mish Mish in the chair, we got everything on the mantle, on the shelves, and the tables, and it looks just like you're there in the cabin. I mean, we're astounded and amazed.
Oh, yeah.
When we opened the spots, I thought, oh my god.
It was a surprise. We had no warning we were getting this.
Somebody put in a lot of work, and thank you very much to the very kind lady who did that.
The trivet, the pots, the pans, everything looks like what we really have. It's incredible.
The candles, the mugs, even my little bottle that I bought that Justine said, no, don't buy that. And I bought it last year at the port. That's even in there. Alfred's in it. The gun. The rock fireplace. I can't believe it. It's so cool. I can't stop staring at it.
I know, it's absolutely amazing. We're going to keep it forever.
Absolutely. The only thing, little modification I'm going to do, I'm going to drill a tiny little hole and stick a tea light up in there so the fireplace is illuminating.
Yeah.
But it is awesome. So thank you so much for doing that and sending it to us. It's a great piece that we'll keep forever.
It is. I've never had anything like this before. It's cool. There's like no other word to use.
Miniatures, that's what it is. It's like a miniature model.
Yeah, it's a miniature. It's a miniature model. The world of miniatures is a pretty cool world.
We need to get like little puppets so we can pull the strings and then just film like a miniature stop motion.
We could. That'd be cool. I've always loved claymation. But anyway, that's
too much work.
Now, speaking of hobbies and making things from scratch. Okay, guys, we all have...
Show them that new apron. Look at this new apron.
We all have that one thing about us that we're very insecure about, right?
Spin around, do a little dance for them. Look at that. Spin around again. Don't show them the butt too much. There we go. You got pockets. Got 2 pockets here. Those are deep pockets.
Yes, there's pockets. Therefore, I love it. I was saying... We all have that one thing about us that we're insecure about. Okay, maybe my nose is too big. My hair is too short or too dry.
My muscles are too big.
I'm not tall enough. Your muscles are too big. Yeah, if you're Ron, that's his problem. Very serious issue. Now, for me, my biggest insecurity, and it's been this way for 10 years, is I cannot sew. And I know that might sound really goofy. It's like, oh, we'll just go to the store and buy clothes. When you live in the reenacting community, if you're a woman that can't sew, you're like an outcast. I mean, people will come up to me all the time and say, oh my gosh, your dress is beautiful. Where'd you get the fabric? What pattern did you use? I just have to awkwardly say, oh, I bought it. And then immediately they look at me like, oh, okay. And you walk away. You know, so I've always been very insecure about the fact that I cannot sew. I'm terrible at sewing.
You know what? Them women can't do the cooking that you do.
Maybe, that's true.
Or else they'd be doing it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Never thought of that.
I know who you're talking about. They sit there and just sew all day long. So, well, I don't judge you for that.
Well, thank you.
Back then, people did make their stuff. High-end people did not make their stuff. They bought their stuff. So, you make some of your stuff. You don't have to know them skills. You're a colonel's daughter.
True, I'm a colonel's daughter.
And soon to be moving out of this little cavern into a mansion. So,
yeah, it's true. Back then there okay, there's like this little house on the prairie fantasy where people think that everyone back then made everything. Like they baked all their own bread, they made all their own clothes.
And everybody had like a loom and a giant spinning wheel.
Yeah, and they made everything from scratch. That's really not true. I mean, sure, if you were a very poor person, you kind of had to out of necessity, but there was a middle class in the 1800s and the 1700s. The middle class, making your own clothes was optional. Being a tailor was a very common job. You could just go to the tailor and have a dress made for you, or a suit or a shirt. You didn't have to make your own bread at home. Every single town had at least like 2 or 3 different bakers, you know.
It's just like having a milk cow. You're not going to drink 5 gallons of milk a day, so you're going to give some of it to your neighbor. He's going to give you something in return for it. So not everybody was a weaver and a spinner and all this. There was a different job for each person in the communities.
That's true. But still, I really want to learn how to sew. And it's something that's been like terrorizing me for the last 10 years. Every time I try and I start sewing, I get panic attacks and extreme anxiety because I just feel like I can't do it. And so yesterday, for the very first time, I sewed something from a pattern. And it's this apron.
It turned out great.
And I've never sewed from a pattern before. I've always just like looked at a garment and zoomed in on it and tried to sew it from that.
Now that takes skill.
Well, thank you, but that's probably why I can't sew. Like, I can mend holes in socks and holes in shirts, but sewing a garment completely from scratch is over my head.
Now, if I may be honest.
Okay, you're giving me feedback?
Yes.
Yes, fine.
I blame your school that you went to because they didn't give you a basic course. Some of us, like me, I grew up, I learned from my grandma. But also here stateside, in just about every school in America, in middle school, you're required to take at least a semester, I believe, of home ec. They teach you the very basics. We had to use a pattern. We made a pillow and something else, I forget. Very easy stuff, but it teaches you the fundamentals at that age, and then you can take it and go on from there. Your school did not teach you that, did they?
No, they didn't. I went to military schools overseas.
Right.
Home ec wasn't provided at Heidelberg High School.
That's why women can't cook these days. Not referring to you. I'm just referring to like.
What?
I'm referring to like these young kids coming up. They can't cook. They can't do nothing.
Yeah, well, no one can. Women are men, you know. It's like they're teaching us to be kind of helpless, but.
I actually showed my home ec teacher up.
What?
I didn't know how to use the like sewing machine that they had there. I was having trouble, and I was like, "Look, lady, I know how to sew. I sew on my great grandma Boone's treadle sewing machine from 1920.
She still has it.
Every evening at my grandparents' house. This was in 6th grade, by the way. And she's like, on your what? I was like, it's a treadle machine. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, you know, one, you work with your foot. It goes back and forth and it's got a belt. It's not electric. And I was like, that thing's way more complicated than this, but I can't figure out how to get this thread. The thread kept breaking. It was like cutting when I tried to go. It was, I don't know.
Oh, that's another thing. I completely hand sewed this.
You did?
Yeah, I didn't use a sewing machine because, like you said, working with a sewing machine makes me homicidal. It makes me angry.
I know, they're tricky to set up. If you ain't got the tensions just right. And
I just want to throw it out the window.
Yeah.
So some of my friends, Lee, who's definitely in the chat right now, and Anna, they have really motivated me to try my best to sew. So my friend Lee, she said that she never liked sewing. She was never into sewing until very recently. And the day before yesterday, she comes to the 4th of July celebration in town in a brand new 18th century dress that she completely sewed herself.
Looks beautiful.
It was amazing. I saw her from afar and she was turned away from me and I said, who is that? Her dress is beautiful. I have to go up and talk to her. Oh, it's Lee. I've known you for years. And she says, like, well, at first it was really hard, but now I'm kind of getting the hang of it. And then my best friend Anna is like a master seamstress. She sews all of her own clothes. And I feel very motivated to overcome my irrational fear of sewing because I have such a low self-esteem about it. And I made this yesterday.
Well, you did a good job on it.
Thank you.
You did have trouble, but you persevered. Is that the right word to say?
I persevered.
After many grunts and evil looks at me. So.
Oh gosh, but I did it. I did it all by myself.
You did it, and it turned out better than what it was originally supposed to turn out.
Thank you.
You said that you originally made the bib not wide enough, so you added these sides, and it looks better with that.
Yeah, the pattern was very frustrating because it doesn't. like, okay, an apron is only in one size, so there isn't a size for aprons on a pattern usually. Well, I made it and I didn't feel like it flattered my body shape.
Right. So you adapted it.
So I had to go back in and cut and redo some things and add some fabric to flatter my body shape a little better. But I want to master this before I move on to using like a dress pattern. I picked up a whole lot of beautiful fabric, and I'm so tired of looking at beautiful fabric and not being able to make a dress or something out of it. And not only that, but it costs a lot of money to buy clothes that are ready-made from other people, and ain't nobody can afford that.
And
So
sometimes they don't always fit well.
they don't fit well.
Because you're not there for them to measure you.
Yeah. And
But-
the fabric is very limited. You only have like 2 things you can choose from. Well,
Right.
I tried, but I'm
You
really...
did a good job.
Thank you.
I would say definitely start small. I would do a couple
Okay.
more aprons before you move on to a dress because you got to build up your confidence.
Yeah.
And patterns can be tricky. This ain't like a what's the name of a McCall's or a Simplicity or whatever. There.
No, it's
This is
not.
custom, and half of it's in German. So it's.
That's true. The pattern
You got that part on yourself.
Yeah, the pattern I used for this was like a black snail pattern, early 1800s dress and apron, and it just coincidentally was in German, and I didn't realize it was, but that added a little more complication considering I've never sewn from a pattern before, but I persevered, and Ronnie is actually a pretty good sewer.
I'm
I'd say.
good enough for a Halloween costume or a oopsie, and you need something that fits. That's as good as I am.
Yeah, I've made aprons before, by the way, but very simple aprons and never from a pattern. This was my first time sewing
Well,
from a
keep it
pattern.
up. You'll do good. Once you figure out what the pattern means, so there's all kinds of lines and like hash marks and dots, and once you figure that out, you'll be good to go.
I figured out the dash marks, but okay, so what was really stumping me yesterday, I just looked at a dress pattern just to see. Let's just say that the parts I had to cut out did not look like the parts that were in the picture. But it's just, the instructions are terrible. I wish that they made like sewing for dummies, but historical sewing for dummies.
They might actually. Not the
I
historical
wish.
part, but just the regular sewing.
I need to get that. Hey Ron, are you ready for this raspberry
I'm ready to
tart?
try some raspberry. And I also want to talk about the 4th of July, or the Independence Day celebration, I should say, because it happened on July 6th, on Saturday here in St. Genevieve. And thank you to everybody that came out. Our friend Jordan came all the way down from Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
And he marched with the militia, if you will, and had a good time. We took him out to the Anvil. We love the Anvil. The Anvil and the Old Brick are our
my
2 favorite
favorite.
places to eat in town. The Anvil, they got the liver and onions, and they got the okra too. So that's where Justine likes to go. But it was a great time. We had just under 100 people show up, which was awesome. We went marching through the streets, and we played some of the more popular songs on drum and fife at the time. And we came back and we had a wonderful ceremony. I gave a short speech on the history of the flag and some fun facts about the Declaration of Independence.
You put a video out about it.
I did. I put a video out. You can check it out if you want to. And Arthur read the Declaration of Independence. Yes, in real life he is a good guy. He's a patriot through and through. He's just as much a patriot, if not more, than what I am. So don't let the River Rat dramas fool you about Arthur. And then at the end, Justine cut a ginormous cake in half with a sword. And that was cool.
Naturally.
Yes, and we served all but like, I don't know, 6 or 7 pieces of that cake. It was a full sheet cake. Some of the kids were kind of like,
3 servings.
Yeah, 3
okay?
servings, come
They're
back.
eating more than adults.
it's like, I just seen you, and I just gave you a second one, now you're back again.
I gave it to them though. Hey, you want it?
Their parents are probably regretting it later because the kids are like, ah!
Grow up big and strong.
Because that was some buttercream icing, and that's
Oh,
sweet
yeah.
stuff. Alright, let's eat some of this. So thank you for coming down to that, if you came to that.
You mentioned the Anvil and the Old Brick Restaurant. So in our town, St. Genevieve, there's the Anvil and the Old Brick Restaurant. The Anvil is from 1850, and the Old Brick is what, from the 1790s?
1780s, I believe.
1780s, okay. Okay, he's about to try this
Alright,
now.
the pie
Oh
server.
no!
I think the cream might have broke. But the pie server wasn't working, so you just have to scoop it.
The cream might have broke?
Yeah, it may have broke with all the water in it.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Like a sauce breaks when you have cream in it.
It's as I feared. It's raspberry soup.
But let's see if the taste is there.
Probably tastes good. Yeah?
It tastes great.
Really? Are raspberries your favorite fruit, by the way? I think they are.
They are, as far as berries go.
Oh, okay.
They're my favorite. Or like anything raspberry flavored.
Well, then what's your favorite fruit overall? Because you said berry.
Well, I don't know. That's a tough one. Because I really love oranges when they're cold. I love a cold orange. I don't know what it is about it. It's just, peaches are good too. You know, I really don't have a fruit that I hate, except for grapefruit. I hate that
Oh,
fruit.
we hate grapefruit.
But everything else, I would say apples are not on my top list because they're usually dry. I mean, I can appreciate a good apple, but it's not on my top 3.
Okay.
Top 3 is orange, raspberries, and I would say it's a tie between a strawberry and pineapple.
Whole idea. What's your favorite fruit?
Yeah, what's your favorite fruit? Actually, just tell us what it is because I can't. It only allows me to put 4 options. So, and there's what, like 20 fruits.
That's true. What do you think my favorite fruit is?
Your favorite fruit is elderberry.
I do love elderberry.
And cherries and peaches.
That's right. That's my top 3. But if there was a 4, number 4 would be raspberries.
Raspberries, okay.
I love peaches. Love, love, love peaches. Peaches might be number 1 because lately I've been having really bad luck with cherries. They've all been bitter and woody, but peaches, oh man, I got a hankering for peaches. I love peaches.
I got a hankering for this. I know it's slop, but I'm eating it. It's good.
I have 6 peach trees, by the way, but none of them are old enough to make fruit yet. Not gonna lie, that tart kind of looks like Pepto-Bismol.
It does a little bit, but you better get some before I eat it all. I'm not kidding.
I will. I'll eat it. I'll eat it, but I want a few more pieces.
Okay, let me take a break from eating this. Let me get into this week's weird history fact.
Oh.
I'll do it myself. If you're too busy stuffing your face.
This week's weirdest history fact. Go!
Alright, did you guys know that we had a national anthem before we had a national anthem that we know today?
Oh.
It was called Chester. It was written by a gentleman who was from Massachusetts. His name was William Billings, and he wrote it in 1770. And he wrote a bunch of songs and hymns for church. And he's also America's first professional composer. By the late 1760s, he was known as a well-known composer here in America. And he wrote a song named Chester. And that became very patriotic, or used for patriotic purposes during the Revolutionary War and War of 1812, and it became our first national anthem until Francis Scott Key wrote the Star Spangled Banner, and then people started using it more often, and then in 1931 Congress voted to have it be our national anthem. But there was a national anthem before the Star Spangled Banner, and here is a clip of it being played.
Chester was very popular with the Continental soldiers, and it was written by William Billings in 1770. And William Billings was from Boston. He was blind in one eye, loved his schnapps, and the town of Boston actually gave him a job catching stray pigs, kind of an early endowment for the arts. So, but nevertheless, he wrote it for church. It was a hymn, and it was adapted by the Revolutionary War Continental Army, and played ever since. And many orchestras and different bands have adapted it to for their playing. So this is the Revolutionary War adaptation.
So we played that song last Saturday at the Independence Day celebration. I love playing that song. It's fun. And there's also words to it as well, but we just did the drum and fife version of it.
What are the words to the song?
So the words to the song are, let tyrants shake their iron rod and slavely crank her galling chains. We fear them not, we trust in God, New England's God forever reigns. Howe and Burgoyne and Clinton too, with Prescott and Cornwallis joined, together plot, overthrow, and one infernal league combined. When God inspired us for the fight, their ranks were broke and their lines were forced. That's just some of it. That's about half of the song. It doesn't necessarily rhyme. The very first line rhymes, but after that it just falls off the map. Which drives me insane. That's why I can't stand poetry if it doesn't rhyme. Every other line has to rhyme for me, otherwise I don't understand it, I don't like it, get it out of here.
Oh, Ron, you're so simple.
That's right.
I love both versions of our national anthem.
I do too.
They're both very interesting.
And speaking of the other version, Star Spangled Banner, Justine's very best friend, Anna, sung it, and she sung it beautifully.
She
Beautiful
did.
job.
The one I told you is an expert seamstress.
Yes.
I'm trying to get to be even at 1% of her level. Okay, Ron, I've eaten my peas.
Try that pie.
I will. You mean that soup?
Try the soup.
I've actually been praying to God, like literally praying to God, that I can be a good sewer someday.
All things in due time.
Because it's something I really want to be good at. There's just so many pros to it, and there's no real cons.
Well, you are picking a really hard thing to do for the first time without knowing the basics.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes you have to start at the very, very beginning in order to get to the end.
Yeah, so you're saying I need to sew something modern first?
I wouldn't say modern, I'd say simple.
Well, I know how to mend things. I can sew
Because
holes
whenever
and
you
stuff.
can get used to folding the edges over and double hemming things, or double tucking so you don't have frays out. So, yes, hemming, you fold it over, but you want to fold it over again so once you stitch it, the frays aren't coming off. So if you tuck it again, and then you hem it, then you've got a, there's a technical name for it, but I don't know what it's called.
I didn't do that with this. I just folded it over once and hemmed it.
So just small things like that. You can make pot holders, you can make towels. This towel is hemmed all the way around.
That's true.
Yeah.
I could make anything,
All right.
which is my dream.
Try that, let me know what you think. I'm giving the taste a 10. The consistency gets a 4, but the taste is a 10. Tastes good, don't it?
Yeah. It does taste good. It tastes like raspberry pie. It actually tastes really good.
I know.
It tasted like melted raspberry ice cream.
Yes, it's like the ice cream has already melted with your hot pie, and it's all just like a gooey
Because
mess.
there's cream in it.
That's right.
Okay, I see why they added that. I'm gonna have to revisit this recipe and add flour.
Yeah. I mean, they might have left out a step too. Maybe you were supposed to saute the raspberries down to when they got thick, and then add cream with it. Let some of the water evaporate.
That would just be ridiculous. Just add flour.
That's true. You could just do that.
Yeah. They do tend to leave out instructions in these old receipts a lot.
That's true. They assume you know everything.
And by the way, whenever we cook something on the show, that is actually our first time ever cooking it ever.
Right. Except for the bratwurst, obviously. We've cooked
Well,
bratwurst
yeah,
before.
I've cooked them since I was like 10.
But this receipt, yes.
I've never made this before. Well, I think we're gonna head out, right?
Yeah, it's raining. It's a good time for a nap, I think.
And I gotta start really studying my sewing patterns.
Well, what better thing to do on a rainy day?
Next time you see me, I'll be wearing a totally different outfit. No, it probably won't be. I wish I was.
Alright, guys, well, it's good to see you again. And we love you. Take care. Thank you for everything that you guys do. And we'll see you next Wednesday.
See you later, guys. Take care, and we love you.
Bye-bye.